Well, first thing I have to say is thank you, Helen. There is nobody who gives such fantastic intros as Helen. It makes you feel afterwards, now what? But thank you so much, and really thank you so much for having decided to do this so quickly and just in response to what's going on. At the same time that Helen has actually been flying around the world and directing films in Canada and in Greece and God knows what, how she's managed to produce this is just extraordinary, and I'm so grateful. And also, I'm very, very grateful to this wonderful reading. The very first poem is exactly the problem, because it talks about if I'm not being killed, how have I got the right to speak? And that is a real problem when you're writing about stuff that isn't your experience, but you feel needs to be marked and needs to be witnessed, even from a distance. And I think it does need to be done. So it is a very difficult thing. And well, I've tried, is what I can say. And I would also like to thank the Bedford, incidentally, because I think this is just such a lovely pub, and I would love to have virtually everything to do with poetry going on in here. I just think it's such a wonderful venue, and they're so nice as well. So anyway, so lots of thank yous, and no doubt there'll be lots more. But incidentally, it's a very small pamphlet, but I have to print it out in 18 point because I can't see even with my glasses on. So anyway, so it's just that since February the 24th, everything has changed, really. It's been such an extraordinary thing that what's gone on has completely changed our attitudes to kind of everyday frustrations, and you know, you sort of everything now goes through a filter of yes, but I'm not going through whatever, you know. And maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. Anyway, these are some of my responses. They've been written about, some of them have been written directly about Ukraine, some about other things. And, but, you know, there are so many wars, and this applies to all of them, and the fact that we forget them is maybe how we have to survive, I don't know. Anyway, first poem is called The Coming of Spring. She looks out at her winter-ravaged balcony. Staying out of the cold, she chooses which plants to prune, leave, or cull, but can't face the freezing air. She sips hot tea and plans the future. The arch-antagonist surveys his haltered ideology. Happier with the old cold, he chooses which elements to prune, leave, or cull, dispatches his decisions to the freezing front, inspects his tea leaves, charts the future. She no longer has a balcony, her shelter shelled and gone. She's raw in the cold, carrying motherhood and mother through breached and freezing air. Snow for water, no maps. It's horrifying how quickly people's fortunes can change, absolutely within a couple of hours. This next one is really written as a series of haikus, and it's called War Officers. 1. Ministry of Food. He likes a bloomer. She, artisan sourdough. The displaced want bread. 2. Built environment. Of course, shattered glass, but walls, roofs, every building on the killing ground. 3. Forestry Commission. Woodland, once pristine, become ashes and flinders, strobing in crossfire. 4. Joint Air Quality Unit. The thing with feathers falls silent, falling, falling from the open skies. I'm not sure that there's any such thing as safety, and that's really what I'm trying to approach in this pamphlet. This is called Cover. The walls and roofs protect her. Let her come into her evening shell and warm it with little occupations, trivialities of love and boredom, quotidian shelter taken for granted. High wind, only an aerial. Hurricane, tiles, gutters, cars. Earthquake, even the walls. War, everything. Cradling a bundle, she rocks by the roadside, back and forth, past and future, the present flayed, untouchable. No little occupations, nothing trivial. Quotidian shelter taken. Now, London and every other big city has been reaching up and up and up, and all the new buildings seem to be made almost entirely of glass. And I can't help this. Imagine the Shard, or many others, shelled and shattered, and actual shards falling to earth as missiles. The lure of light. Beneath the rooflight, watch the cosmos arc the hours. Blue yonder glow of day. At night, the sight of stars. The winking height of planes. Electric flicker clouds. A million panes of glass reflect the city's reach. Above the shielding glaze, small silhouettes appear, growing down the air. A flight of missiles falls towards the sky. Light shatters. The Open Sky Treaty, the Open Skies Treaty, has really not helped Ukraine. Information about Russian troops massing on the border was just kind of ignored and disbelieved. And long-distance artillery has wreaked more havoc than bombs falling from the sky. My poetic understanding of the expression open skies has completely changed. The turning. See how the sky lowers, threatens what once sheltered beneath green leaves, torn off and gone into darkness falling, menace exposed in an infinite sky. See how God's creatures shrug into winter. Nothing to do now but wait for the fall of ice and a future where everything surely turns prayerfully back to the blessing of light. See how some miss the moment of turning, sucked in the undertow of the fall, cancelling hope, concussion of darkness, coffined within the day's brief light. See in the silence entropy falling, rot at the root, fire in the sky. War can make entire peoples non-people in a matter of hours. Witness the Shoah in World War II. The soul has weight. Flawed science makes it 21 grams. But why would it be so light, encompassing the cosmos, the blues, Tenebrae, Mozart, Rembrandt, Drupad, jazz, sacred and carnal love, Avi, Avi. Someone might exist without, vacant as Hitler flailing against his chosen flames, pulverized at the point of death by his own abandoned soul. no substance, no particles, no waves, but heavier than hell. And I actually wrote the next poem about the transport of Jews to death camps in World War II, which culled my paternal family in Salonika. Ordnance survey along the permanent way. The air is thick with jabber. Half the world turns a fossil ear, a marble eye to the other. Fingers dither over hot spots here and there, but stab gleefully into the heart here. And there it is, laid bare, the chosen target, puffing across the familiar barren land, scapegoats to the slaughter. And now just a couple of slightly, very slightly lighter poems. The first one is called Grounded. Well, I think it's lighter. I plan my imaginary garden to transform my cell, allocate where everything should go, then continually dig up the plants. Good exercise to confuse my guards, who are discomforted by my generous use of night soil that makes everything lush and green. At night, I contemplate my labor, the shadows of the shrubbery, the luxuriant shape of my cell. Guano Incorporated. Why do other birds lose a sense of preservation in the unnatural quiet of the emptied city? Ghosted on office windows, their outlines powdered, they drop in piles of feathers, stunned and dying. Some birds seem bewildered, moping about the shattered streets, looking for handouts. Fools. We starlings know it's time to be proactive, to roost comfortably inside the vacant buildings. My murmuration settles in penthouse opulence of the CEO of the Bank of Beatitude. We're good tenants. We've reserved the executive toilets for our rich deposits. And a villanelle. Curfew. Day breaks across our bodies like a wand, casting spells on our distorted sight, till darkness falls upon us at the end. Whatever we hold on to shifts like sand, still running through the hourglass of night. Day breaks across our bodies like a wand, wielding threat or magic in its hand. We climb the walls to gain a little height, till darkness falls upon us at the end. If there's a message daylight tries to send, we try whatever motion's apposite. Day breaks across our bodies like a wand that prods us as a too familiar friend and puts our equanimity to flight, till darkness falls upon us at the end, in which we seek oblivion to mend the optical delusions of the light. Day breaks across our bodies like a wand, till darkness falls upon us at the end. And maybe this is how it ends. How it ends. The sun explodes. Well, that's what it's always doing, popping mushroom heads into space, heading outwards to affect distant galaxies. So the sun explodes in a humanly understandable way through morning curtains, making of dust motes, Milky Ways, galaxies of indolent stars, revealed hanging golden between night shadows and Venetian blinds, sifting slowly through the speed of light, down to Earth, falling galaxies. Moving in the same direction, legs shift slowly downwards, unfold to the too familiar floor. Automatic feet trample the cosmos, pulverize the whole exhausted galaxy. And this is my last poem, I promise. The last poem I shall read. It's also the last one in the book. And it came about because I was in the garden one morning trying to be calm in the early morning gorgeousness, and I was watching butterflies, and I suddenly noticed that they were all blue and yellow, which brought me crashing back to Ukraine. And therefore I wrote this. Sky blue sun gold. Calm and beautiful the sky, clouded yellow wings, common blue of butterflies, birdsong deepened spring. Yellow blossoms under blue, future green and true, harmonize in vernal truce every clashing hue. Procreation and rebirth ride a zephyr's breath, psalmody across the earth, never pause for death. And thank you, everyone. And thank you for coming. And thank you, Helen.